Greetings, friends. It's your cartoonist pal Stan. That's a really good start. It says your cartoonist pal Stan here with a brand new episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together with electronic die rollers, input from you in the live chat room, and my own crazy brain to randomly generate drawing prompts, just kind of mashing a who, a creature, a character type, something, and a what, a situation, an activity, mash them together, come up with a prompt. To go, I consider that a prompt, and then I draw that thing. That's why it's a prompt. That prompts me to draw it. And you guys get to hang out and watch and give input, help me figure out what it is that I'm going to draw, how I'm going to interpret these prompts, and what gags will get put in along the way. I also uh, do a bunch of opining about the artistic process, about what it is I'm thinking about, what it is I'm doing, things that might help you as a cartoonist or as a gag creator, or just as someone who likes to think of weird stuff. I like thinking of weird stuff. Uh, today, today I'm having a my annual 4th of July themed show. It's a weird day in America. It's a weird day in America. I don't want. I don't want to be political. I don't want to be. I mean, I do all the things when I do a Thanksgiving show or a Christmas holiday, end of year holiday themed show. I keep it light. I keep it generic. I don't want to go into those details. It's harder today. It's harder than usual. Um, I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a small political-ish statement. And I'll start by saying I'm a very liberal-minded person, and I'm not going to press that too far. But I'm going to say there's a lot going on politically in our country right now, and we are, by and large, I know a lot of people like me very much against it, but we as a country, decisions we're making as a whole, because we're a democracy, things happen. There are consequences for elections. Whatever you personally wanted or personally voted for, this is where we're at, and we have to own it's our country, whether we like what it's doing or not. I say our country right now is looking very short-sighted and making a lot of decisions that are going to have long-term implications. A lot of people are just overlooking that, and you go into the news for the details. But we as a country are not doing ourselves any favors and metaphorically dropping our pants in front of the world. Makes it kind of hard to really want to put the smile on and let's red, white, and blue it. But I do still believe. I still believe in the process. I still believe in the promise of the country, and I do believe that the pieces of Americana that I have chosen to use in this are still worth celebrating. So we're going to go forward and do that. I just want to, I want to talk about what's real before we go diving off into the fantastical and the fun. And you know what? The heaviest of times, it's important to have fun. It's important to do things to 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 let your creative soul sing, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Red, white, and blue. It says Head Start. There you go. Hello, Devious Heart. Hello, Chris Andrew. So yes, having said my little serious piece, let's do some drawing. Let's do some cartoons and have some fun. What do you say? So, like I say, every week I uh, I get a bunch of random encounter tables because it's a special themed week. I've gone back for themed weeks. I have shorter encounter tables than usual because I don't want to put a lot of work into something that next week I'm gonna put aside to go back to our regular thing. So this is. Let me just come over here. Here are our encounter tables for the evening for our 4th of July cosplay special. um, Love to meet from Troy and the Tankers. Says DB's Heart. Yes, my good buddy Troy Hewitt, my co-host on the Sumo Show, is one of his day gigs is at Green Ronin, and right now I'm sure that they are having his open office hours where you can go and hang out and chat with him. And Devious Hearts here in our chat is in one of the people in charge of the Atomic Think Tank, which is a fine thing. You should check them out. If you go to Green Ronin Publishing on YouTube or anywhere, look them up. Look what they're doing. They've got some great streaming shows. They've got, of course, great products and very interesting things. The Atomic Think Tank is just a great community of TTRPG fans and just filled with amazing resources. So please, by all means, check that out. I encourage you. So, as I said, these are the who's and the what's we've got for this week. Good evening, Michael and chat. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Nate Robbins. Thank you for coming in. So let's go roll some dice and do some drawing. We're going to read these red and blue. They're red, white, and blue and white. So here we go. We're going to roll them. And we've got a 1 and a 1 is our first die roll. So that would be a dragon Uncle Sam. Dragon cosplaying as Uncle Sam is our first choice. So we're going to turn off that image. We're going to come here to the sketch layer. I do my sketching in blue. I'm using an Apple iPad Pro, the app Procreate, and an Apple Pencil. I say that because people are always asking what tools I use. These are the tools I use. None of them are sponsors. None of this is sponsored. It's all just me. Because, God knows if I was sponsored at all, I would certainly not have started with a little bit of political anything. Hello, Surreptitious. Thank you for joining in. Glad to see you here. Okay, the Dragon Uncle Sam. All right, I often talk about the starting with basic shapes, and if you've been watching the show at all, you will have heard me say that I generally build dragons out of roughly triangular shapes. Here is going to be our roughly triangular shaped Uncle Sam. Need a big top hat. Now, I usually try to stay away from having something that is on the intro thumbnail. I don't like to have direct repetition, but for the theme shows, it's often unavoidable. And here, of course, I had on the cover image, if you saw during the countdown of the show, I had Godzilla as Uncle Sam, and that's kind of close to a dragon as Uncle Sam. So it turns out it's like I did a pre-drawing. But I'm going to have the dragon there, and we're going to have someone down here. He wants you. Dragon Uncle Sam wants you. Now, here's I guess a thing for you guys to uh, put some comment on because I'm going to start. I'm going to focus on the Dragon Uncle Sam. So the question is, who is he pointing to down there, and what's he? You know, we can certainly come up with a gag of "I want you" um, to do something. The Uncle Sam on war bond posters was a big thing during uh, World War II, and certainly that "I want you," "he wants you" to it's been used for a bunch of different things. What are we going to use it for in this drawing? We're going to give him a little jacket that he's wearing. There we go. That's a good sketch. To buy horde bonds. That's a good one. All right, let's go to the lines. Let's do some drawing. Let's put on some finish lines. That's a sketch, I think. But I started to say, see, I built that the rough shape for this dragon is all here. I guess on even on this later, I'll do it. I'm gonna grab a purple line instead of a black line. Right? I did a triangle. You can see the triangles that are involved in making this. Um, right? I think about the dragon with basic triangular shapes, but then you can see that I don't stick to those hard triangle lines. That's how I get the general shape, and then I draw it more rounded, more soft, more cartoony, like what we're going to see. There's not going to be obvious triangles in the finished piece, but I wanted you all to see. I wanted to point out how that's the kind of thought you go through when you're beginning the drawing. You start with one thing and you build up into others. um, any of you fine folks have interesting plans for tomorrow for the 4th? You're gonna be going to or hosting any parties? My group that I hang around with has a tradition of doing uh, all is forgiven tea parties. So uh, we have a lot of tea aficionados in our group, and it just seemed like rather than beating the drums of how wonderful uh, the we are, we're gonna just be a little nicer and go back and say, all right, all this started over a disagreement. Guess what, England, you are forgiven. All is forgiven, and since it started with a bad tea party, we're gonna have ourselves a good tea party. And we do. We have a nice afternoon gathering where we have British style tea. We have little sandwiches and scones and cakes, and very, very nice and refined, um, rather than frying up big slabs of meat, which we do on lots of days anyway. We don't have anything against frying up big slabs of meat. Um, so that's my plan for tomorrow. I'm going to be going over there and having drinking some tea and having some scones and hanging out with my friends and enjoying fine camaraderie. Hey, I have never been a big. Hey, one of the funny things to me about doing this Fourth of July special every year is I've never been a big Fourth of July person anyway. I don't like fireworks. Not that I don't really have anything particularly against them. I just don't enjoy them. I don't enjoy the loud noises. I don't like the smell of them. Um, Not really my thing. And also, when I was a kid, we, my family, had a couple of different July 4ths where trying to go to see events turned into just miserable evenings on the road in heavy traffic, occasionally with car breakdowns, while it's far too crowded for any kind of uh, repair or relief to arrive for hours. And so it very early in my life became my um, tradition to stay home on 4th of July. Just stay home. Maybe grill up some hot dogs or burgers, or stay very close to home like I am doing. Only go to see friends who are nearby, and not go out for to watch uh, fireworks. In fact, left to my own druthers, I don't even watch them on TV, mainly because like I say, I don't like them that much. But the folks I gather would like them, so we very often will watch them on television if we're for whoever's still hanging around that late at night. All right, here is our Uncle Sam Dragon coming together pretty well, I think. Let's see what we have. Um, I Want You for the Dragon Army. That's a good one. Patriotic Dragon. Buy Horde Bonds. That's a good one. Um, Watercress sandwiches. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone has watercress hanging around. I know usually there's a cucumber sandwiches and some maybe chicken salad or egg salad or some just light. Call me Uncle Smaug. That's funny. That's funny. I'm not even gonna mock you for that one. That's funny. You prefer fireworks for New Year's Eve. You know what? I will watch them more on New Year's Eve than I will for 4th of July. All right. So we're gonna have our little guy here. I've done very little to draw him in, so he's gonna be very much a by the seat of your pants character. I got a few different ways of drawing people, and I have in the last few months I've been using this one more often than I had been. Just I've revisited it, and that's the just you can see there. I don't have a chin. I don't have a neck. It just we've got a collar that comes up into a head shape, and then we can play around with what the details are. If there needs to be a chin, we can stick one out, or it could just be in there, or really, mostly though, you don't need one. So, those of you who've watched me draw for a long time, I don't know how many people will have noticed this difference because a lot of the time I draw a character where after the shoulders we've got a neck coming up to a head shape, which could be round or could be squared off, could be Could be triangular that way. Could be triangular this way. But that kind of rough shape. I've been playing around with this. Don't even worry about it. Just make the whole head and body one elongated shape. Like that. It doesn't really mean, I don't know. I don't know why I bring that up, except I've decided for sure that I'm doing that with this guy, and I've been doing it more frequently recently. It doesn't really do anything. I don't think that it says anything in particular, but it's a it's an interesting tool to have in your toolbox, having a few different ways that you can draw basic characters. Here we go. I'm looking back up here. You know what? I think I just like Uncle Smaug wants you. Michael and Chris, I think together you have won this one. Although we still need. You know what? I'm going to put this on the sketch layer so we can figure out how it's going to lay out. Still have room for what Uncle Smaug wants you to do. Uncle Smaug wants you to buy Horde bonds. I was about to write the wrong kind of Horde. There. Now I can grab that shape there and just make it a little smaller and move it away from the edge. And now I can ink it. Now it fits on the page nicely. I like Uncle Smaug. That is just funny to me. Looking funny. All right, so we're going to turn off the sketch lines. We're going to look at what we got here and see that maybe we want a few more lines around there. Just things to pull it all together, define what's going on a little more clearly. Uncle Smaug. Oh. All right. I like it. I like it. So go to the coloring layer. We'll switch to the gloaming brush, which is that crayony, markery color I like to use. And we're going to start putting in red, white, and blue. Here, I'm going to color over the. One of the nice things about working digitally, as I say, is that I often will say, is how easy it is to remove things. And doing things like coloring a white star onto a dark field is kind of a pain in the butt when you're working traditionally. But here, I just paint over it blue and erase it out. And then we'll go back and put the red on the brim, which tells me that he's not going to be a red dragon. Maybe a green dragon. Maybe a green dragon. Maybe a purple dragon. I don't know. You know what? I'll I'll work on some other bits. I'm going to look up. I'm going to give you a very quick chance to comment on what color dragon he should be, because I probably should have asked that earlier, because that's going to come up very quickly. I'll draw his blue jacket for sure. His jacket is blue. But what color dragon should Uncle Smaug be? And I'll color the little guy here while you're thinking about that. Like I say, this is a lot of times I like to give you a question and give you a while to ponder it, so you can get lots of chat going. Since I thought of this so last minute, however, you got to come up with something quick here, or I'll just make the decision. But I like to give you guys the option to weigh in. Color there, the boots and the belt. He doesn't seem very happy about it. Let's see, red, white, and blue. A red, white, and blue dragon. that's that takes a that's that's a. I would like to do a red, white, and blue dragon. I think that would be a fun thing to design, but it takes some thought because I don't think I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna add a new color layer so uh, I can do this and not have to worry about being precious about where I put it. Right? If we could give him stripes on his body, it's just not going to look good. It's not going to read easily well. Some design thought has to go into where. First of all, I wouldn't have dressed him in the Uncle Sam thing. I wouldn't dress a red, white, and blue dragon as Uncle Sam, not with a red, white, and blue top hat and such. I suppose in theory we could give him a white. We could make him white and then make his underbelly red and something blue. We could give him a strong blue color with white stars on him. There's a lot of things that could be a funny design. I think though it is something that needs to be have more thought put into it. I don't certainly feel at the moment. I don't feel it. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It means I can't do it today. um, I'm thinking. I'm going back to the green. I think we're going green. Green dragon. I looked up in the chat there, and there was no strong consensus. If anything, was kind of leaning towards red, and I don't. Uh, uh, I'll tell you, my vote is not red, given how strong the red and the blue are in the costume. And it could be a completely different kind of red. Now that I'm thinking about it, we could go for a different shade of red. But I think a green dragon is a fine answer to this, and we will go with a pale yellow on the underscales. Come in with some gray highlights so that the beard isn't like Santa white. And what else? So now it's time to put some shading on him with a darker version of that green. Certainly, oh, even darker than that. Certainly up here over the eyes and under that. I'm looking at the cheek here, and uh, I was looking at what we drew last week, or what we drew, what I drew, what we drew together, what we came up with together, but what I drew, and two of the characters had smiles with kind of a pouchy cheek above it, and I did it slightly differently, and I was thinking that would be a fun, just kind of lesson to talk about, but I'd need to draw something else that worked like that before we could. Um, and basically, what it was about was times when it's better to not. So here I've got a hard black line defining both the under, again, uh, both the under and the over of that cheek. And on one of them, just to explain, one of the characters from last week, I did that, and one of them I drew the underline in black, but only used the shading color to define the shape of the over, and it was because of the shape of the head and what was going on around it. Was it last week? No, no. In fact, I'll tell you what it is. I'll show you right now. It was when I was looking at this. So the Godzilla and the Cthulhu on this uh, on the thumbnail here. Come on, open up. So you see in the Godzilla, I only drew the hard line on the under and used the color to shade it, and that's because of the shape of the face. Um, on the Cthulhu, I put both of them because this hard line, again, uh, it it's it it gives the idea that it's gonna meet up here like that. Whereas on the Godzilla, if I put a hard line there, all it's going to do is go straight into the eye, and it's a confusing line. But they both serve the same purposes. Both of them look like they got that puffy cheek. So it's another case of there are many ways to get the same or similar effects. You want to make your choices meaningfully. You want to be thinking about why you're doing what you're doing. All right. I think I think I think it's time to get a blue here so I can get a little shading on the blue. A little darker than that. There we go. Go to the red and do the same thing. There we go. Darker. Brighter but darker. There we go. That's the color I wanted. All right. I think we got ourselves a dragon cosplaying as Uncle Sam. So we'll come back to our lines layer and put a little stand in the corner because we have completed the dragon cosplaying as Uncle Sam. Drawing number 1 complete. Red body, blue belly scales. There are certainly, says Jace Machine Gaming, that certainly could work. I'm just saying, right now, with this particular body, with this costume, it wasn't going to work. They were going to be, the colors were going to be fighting with each other. As I say, I think it's a terrific idea. There are many ways to make it work, but it's one of those ideas that you probably want to plan a little before you do it if you want to pull it off well. Or let me say again, I want to. I wasn't feeling like I was going to pull it off well, so that's why I didn't do it. Hello, Penny Firehorse. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We have done a dragon cosplaying as Uncle Sam as our first drawing of the night. I had a little sip of my soda. I'm feeling good. So I'm going to come over here, close up round 1, turn it off, turn on round 2, turn back on our encounter tables, have one more sip, and we'll do another drawing. Michael, yeah, I'm sure. Michael says, "I'm sure with time they'd figure it out." I'm sure I would too. Um, Again, I often will talk about what I imagine we're trying to do here tonight, which is quick stuff. And there are some ideas that just need a little more thinking. And I have complete confidence that if we decided to take an evening and do a live stream where we worked through something rather than try and do 3 quick drawings, I bet we could figure it out. I have no doubt that we could. That's not what we're doing tonight. That's not what we're doing here and now. All right. We did a Dragon Uncle Sam for our first drawing. Let's go back to the dice and get a second prompt. We'll come over here and we will, come on. There we go. We will roll the dice gently down the stream. That's a 3 and a 1. We already had a 1. Let's roll that again and get it. Wow. 3 and a 1 and a 1 and a 3. That sounded like this is going to be a 3 and a 3, which is an Owlbear Statue of Liberty. Owlbear Statue of Liberty. That's going to be our second drawing. And then it's going to have to be all 2s and 4s for our third drawing. All right, so turn off that image. Turn back on the sketch layer with the blue color for our brush and the inking pen, and we're going to do an Owlbear Statue of Liberty. So the first thing I'm thinking, so I often, when we do these, try to get a little lateral thinking. Instead of the owlbear being the thing, is there another interaction? It's an owlbear. Our 2 prompts are Owlbear and Statue of Liberty. They don't have to. It doesn't have to be Owlbear Statue of Liberty. But it's seeming like that's the way to go. So let's see. Owlbear has an owly face, big eyes, and a beak. but a big bare body. Holding up a torch, holding a book with robes and a little tail. I don't know why. I often like to switch off back and forth, pointing left and pointing right. In this case, Statue of Liberty almost certainly has to be looking this way for me to get both the torch and this hand holding something that we could see. Uh, Thinking of just doing the owlbear as the American eagle. That that would work too. All right, let me create a new layer, and we can play around with that. Right, we could have the owlbear. Uh, Problem, I mean, the owlbear doesn't usually have wings. It just depends on which era of owlbear. If you go back early, is they do, but the problem is if you make the owlbear look too avian, they'd stop looking like an owlbear and just look like an owl. So I'm going to grab that and shrink that, put it up in the corner as one possible design. The owl, the great seal has that the eagle is looking to the side. So we do that. And what is it on the great seal? They've got the arrows in one talon. What's in the other talon on the U.S. seal? Arrows and I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up because that bugs me. I want to know that. Hold on. Let's see. Great Seal of the U.S. We've got an olive branch. Olive branch, of course. That makes perfect sense. Um, hmm. This is interesting. This is an interesting one. Olive branch. So rather than having them in the feet, since it's an owl bear, we could have the owl bear holding them up. And let's erase out those legs and could just be standing there. This is feeling, in some ways a drawing for the moment. Our owlbear could be saying, "Olive branch or arrows, which is it going to be?" All right. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of uh, the little sketch up in the corner. Although I kind of like that too. You know what? No, I won't. I'm on the right layer. I'm gonna grab this guy that I like here. And again, thing I can do because it's digital. And I'm going to copy and paste. And now I've got a layer that has just that. And I can make that the thing. And now got that red, white, and blue shield on his chest. Holding arrows in one hand and an olive branch in the other. And now it's like we're saying something. Now we've got it's almost like a political cartoon. And here I said I wasn't going to be political. Can't help it. Can't help it. When something's on your mind, it's on your mind. All right. Am I doing this right? All right, so we're going to go to the lines layer. We're going to grab the brush and we're going to draw ourselves. I'm going to start with the beak. I'm unsure that whether or not it's going to wind up, whether I might color either the top or the bottom dark so it's clear that the owlbear is saying something. Or it could just look like a big smile. But that's something we can decide later on. Likewise, the eyes right now are open, but you can already see in the sketch that it would be very easy to make them half lidded or closed or any number of different permutations. And have an olive branch here. And some arrows, a sheaf of arrows here. Maybe a little sketchier than I usually do, but I don't mind. I've had sketchier drawings on the mind recently, so I mind playing around with that some also. Yeah, see, I'm thinking that he's going to be saying something. Fill that in there. What is he going to be saying? I have a feeling you guys are talking some about that, and if you're not, you should be doing it a little more. I like the "Am I doing this right?" that's got possibilities, but let's examine some other possibilities before we make that call. Red, white, red, white, red. Okay. I would really like to end up with red on both ends. It will look better that way. That's why I was doing that counting. All right. Well, that's it. Came together weirdly quickly, that drawing, but I basically like it. Let's turn off the sketch layer and see. Yeah, it's very basic. There's not a lot of detail, and that's all right. But let's add a few little touches in. Like this is just looking messy. I remember when I was in college, showing my portfolio to a an art director, not really expecting much, but you know, who'd agreed to give me comments, and had nice things to say about a lot of what I was doing. But one of the things that he pointed out in one of the pieces that I had there, which was coming together nicely, but there was an area where uh, I had the looking over a town, and there were parts that were important, and I'd drawn what you could see there. But there was a part that was just the top of a roof that didn't really matter, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I'd done some cross hatching and smudgy stuff, and he pointed out to me that because uh, and this is a corollary to something I say on here all the time, because it it when you looked at it, you didn't know what it was. It drew your attention. You drew your eyes' attention as you tried to figure out what is that thing. And suddenly, this roof, which was supposed to not be important at all, was what he and the other people I showed it to were immediately looking at. What is that thing? And it was just a big mess. And it you know it didn't do what I wanted to do. People weren't paying attention to the finely crafted part of the drawing that I wanted them to look at because they were so busy trying to figure out what that sloppy mess that I had over on that roof was. In the same way, what I had going on around there was just a sloppy mess and was really drawing the eye. Little bit of the same problem there because it's darker than everything else. Same kind of thing happening. There we go. Looking pretty good. Mm. So what do we got here going? Um, bring me you're tired, you're poor, I'm hungry. The lady who's holding the torch got tired. You know what? I had also thought that maybe show an owlbear on all fours, having scared away the Statue of Liberty, and all that's left are the torch and the tiara and the book, the placard that she's holding. Um, so in the end, I'm going to call this Owlbear Great Seal rather than Statue of Liberty. We've ejected the Statue of Liberty from this drawing, and that's all right. We're playing it by ear. We're having some fun. So let's go to the color layer and go to the gloaming brush. One of the things about owl bears, not a lot of detail. Not a lot of shapes within the shape. So you got to pick the ones you want to highlight. You can create them even if they're not necessarily there and say this is a, although it's one big body, that the belly is here and the side is a different thing. So we're going to make that a shape differentiation. And we need some orange here for the beak. I'm going to come back to blue. And red. If I've done this right, I will get red on both ends. It looks so much more off balance, despite the fact that this means that there are more red stripes than white. It's got a balanced feeling because it's white is just holding up in the middle and the red is holding on both sides. If it had been an even number and it started with red and ended with white, it would the shield would feel off balance. Trust me on this. And you know what? I think I want to make sure these look strong, so we're gonna do that. Come back to the gloaming brush again. Got olive branch and trying to put some quick color on these without going too crazy with it. Different color brown so that we can see the arrows. There we go. Now, ooh, that's the wrong brown. Now, did you guys come up with a something saying wise? And this kind of looks like it could stand on its own, just as an image. Oops. But if we have a good caption, I'm always down for a good caption. I'm thinking right now. I'm trying to come up with an e pluribus unum gag, or quick line. E pluribus yum yum. No, doesn't work. I don't know why, but he makes me laugh. Okay, let me see what you got going on in the chat here. Um, am I doing this right? It's still up there. Can I ask why I lived in Japan? I mention it a lot. Why I lived in Japan? I was worked as an English teacher. I got a job um, working as a English as a second language, English as a foreign language teacher, uh, and I liked it, so I stayed quite a while. Um, oh, and I see that Michael already explained that. Yes, so I that's how I got there. I was already I was a a fan of many things about Japan, starting with uh, you know anime, early anime. My favorite uh, TV shows growing up, I didn't know it at the time, but they were Japanese, and certainly I'd come to be a big fan of some of the traditional arts of the printmaking, hokusai and hiroshige, and some other um, things, and some of the movies of um, Kira Kurosawa. And I needed a job, and teaching English was available for me. I was an English major and not getting any real work in that field. So that's the answer to that. I never played that Yakuza video. Did I ever play? No, I never played that Yakuza video game. Hello, Nate Robbins. Thank you for joining us. E pluribus what? That's good. I like. Yeah, there we go. So we'll come back to a line slayer. Come back to an inking brush. Maybe I should have done this on the sketch layer. E pluribus what? And we'll stick a little stand in the corner because I think that when all is said and done, we have ourselves a an Owlbear Great Seal. Boop boop doo 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 whoop. That's looking pretty good. I like that. I think there's a lot of go. We could spend some time just kind of working on workshopping some jokes to go with that. But I think E pluribus what works really, really as a good just kind of it's semi nonsensical, but it clearly is about this, and it I think that works very well. Um, have a good weekend, surreptitious. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Be safe, and we'll see you here next week. There we go. It's two drawings. Let me have another sip, and we'll get the setup here done, and we'll do one more, and call it a Thursday evening, and get ready for our long weekend here in the U.S. Ah. You'd think I was doing that because I was going to cut these out of the videos, but I don't. I leave them in. Anyone who watches this on replay also gets to see me going, hubba, hubba, hubba. I do that so it's easy for me to find it when I'm setting um, the bookmarks on the video later. All right. Although it's not on that encounter table, our second drawing was an owlbear Great Seal of the United States. That's what happens when you're here on the show live. You get to suggest things, and sometimes we go off script and just do it for fun. Let's go back to the dice, roll them one more time, get one more set, and maybe we'll do it, and maybe we'll change it. Let's see what it is, though. I'm gonna come here, roll the dice, roll them dice. And what do we got? We're hoping for twos and fours, really. We got a 2 and a 3. Second, a 2 on the blue is Abraham Lincoln. A blue, a 2 on the red would have been a Sahuagin. Sahuagin Abraham Lincoln. I was really looking and thinking a Sahuagin George Washington would be funny, particularly with the crossing the Delaware kind of drawing. But Abe Lincoln is what we drew here. What do you guys think? Anything? And maybe neither of those things. I liked what we came up with that Owlbear and the Great Seal uh, playing off the eagle thing. What do you guys? You guys feeling anything for it? For what you'd like to see for the third drawing here? Maybe something that's not even uh, on the encounter tables at all. You know that if I don't want to do it, I won't. So feel free to suggest anything you like. I won't be insulted as long as you promise not to be insulted when I choose to go a different way. Michael saying, "Go for it," like I should do the Sahuagin George Washington. Okay, that's a possibility. That is a possibility. But I want to leave it open for you guys to also have a word. Abraham Lincoln Zombie Hunter. Oh yeah, that's got that's got a lot of potential. Um, and it goes along with the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter movie that came out. Have you ever played the Final Fantasy games? I played some of them. They have Suigan in them. Yes, yes. I was not a huge Final Fantasy player, but I've played some and I've watched other people. I've enjoyed watching other people play them more than playing them myself. Um, so if we had an Abraham Lincoln, just gonna start sketching this out. Right, Abe is big and tall and lean. I'm gonna give him a wide step there, and give him an old timey kind of pistol. He's got a long Abraham Lincoln's got a long face, sometimes with a kind of a squared off beard, sometimes with just a rough beard, a chin beard at the bottom. But the key to doing an Abraham Lincoln is to have the face be long, the nose be big, and then the beard to do something interesting and sunken eyes, and then give him a top hat, and it looks like Abraham Lincoln no matter what. Again, we're talking about, or I talk about basic shapes. If you draw a rectangle and give it a hat and just do this, put another like open rectangle in there, it already looks like Abraham Lincoln. Like you might want to do a bigger stovepipe hat, but and we can add things to increase it. But yeah, it's I love talking about basic shapes because that's where all drawing comes out of. If no matter what who the artist is, even if they probably don't think about it that way anymore. Everyone works like that, and it's something that people who haven't done, who want to learn to draw, often just overlook and look down. I don't want to do that. I want to draw. I want to. It's basic shapes. That's what it's about. All right. Meanwhile, back here with Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln Zombie Hunter. All right. I tell you what. I've already gonna have to move that head up a bit from where it's at. It's too close to the shoulders. think give him a tuxedo like that, with a big nose and little eyes, big ears, beard, like that. I'm thinking he's yelling, "Four score and shooting him in the head!" I think that zombie's head's too big already. Again, my Lincoln head was too small. My zombie head is too big. Now here's a kind of probably talk about posture and posing too. I want the zombie to look stiff. And usually when I'm drawing someone, you can see down here, I started with the leg coming straight out. They're moving forward, you want to draw that, but we want it to look stiff and slow moving. So I've got a leg coming straight out and straight back. They're both not bending and not reaching far away from the center of the body to show that he's moving slowly. I'm thinking here that I don't know enough about um, Civil War uh, uniforms. I want to make this guy look like he's got a Confederate uniform. There we go. I think this is a good basic. I was I also gave thought here to actually having the gun firing and blowing out the back of the zombie's skull, but I don't think I want to do that. Um, I'm also thinking now if I want to get away from the gun, and maybe I do, probably I do, I could instead make it so that he's known for being a rail splitter, right? For building a log cabin. Why don't we give him a big axe like that to work with? And then we stay away from the guns. Very short brim hat. Yeah, it looks a little too much like a baseball cap. Yeah. All right, I like that. I like that as an outline. Let's switch to some finished lines, and we'll make this work. So again, we've got the head. The way to make it look like Abraham Lincoln is going to be to give him a big long nose, and I'm going to give him their beard, big ears. Abe had big ears, little, relatively small eyes. I mean, it's not a bad Abraham Lincoln. If I do say so myself. All right, we're going to have a jacket with some tails. Come on back there. Let's do that again. Ooh, wow! I'm not looking what I'm doing there. I just gave it's almost AI-ish. I gave him a double elbow, a two jointed arm. He's gonna split some rails. Again, long legs, probably big feet too. Don't need that. I can do that in color. And then our zombie here. Hands up, reaching out, trying to get some northern brains. I want some northern brains. I'm still not 100% sure whether I want to put any words on this or not. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. And if you guys want to suggest any, please, please go ahead. I got the rail splitting as a gag. I've got the northern brains as a gag potential going in my head. None of it is seeming like a for sure winner yet, though. All right, let's see. We're going to start with a faux black for, let's turn off the sketch. Faux black for Mr. Lincoln's outfit. Want even darker black for the band and the pants, so it doesn't look like it's all just one flat color. And maybe a little more bluish black, even more blue for the shoes. Although, I mean, it comes out gray, but we know that it's a blue. That's what we're playing with here. Are very dark blues. We want to come in maybe even bluer blue, as in like Superman has blue, is often done with blue hair to show his the understanding is that it's black. Go. It makes me laugh. Then we're gonna have a greenish gray. Maybe even greener than that. The zombies' pallid skin. Dark green for the zombies' hair. Why? I don't know, but I do that a lot when I draw zombies. Just give them green hair. And then I think that's a good rebel gray. Let's come again with a shadows underneath to give an idea that they're not just floating in midair. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still trying to think of something gag wise, and It seems like this is all gag already. You know what this doesn't feel very like? This doesn't feel very 4th of July. All right, maybe I'll just leave it like that. I think that sometimes I think that it's best just to leave it alone than force something on it. And a couple of different things that could go in there. None of them are feeling awesome to me. So we'll just hold on there with Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln Zombie Fighter. The sequel no one asked for. All right. That seems like a good wrap up for the evening. Got Abraham Lincoln Zombie Fighter. Oh boy. Well, looks like we're coming up to the end of the show. So thank you everyone for hanging out with me. Thank you. You know what? I'll save it because I'm going to do it in the outro. But thank you guys for hanging out. Uh, I was in a little bit of a grumpy mood when we started. Probably still going to be in a grumpy mood later on. But right now I'm feeling good. And that's all thanks to hanging out with you guys. And the power of drawing. The power of drawing. It's just fun. It's a fun thing to do. And that's why I encourage you out there. You watching this video now on replay. Grab yourself your pen and paper. Just draw. It's fun. All right, let me have a sip and we'll do an outro and we'll get on with our long weekends. Abraham Lincoln Zombie Fighter, the sequel no one asked for. That was our third drawing tonight. Our second drawing was an owlbear, a great seal, a combination of the owlbear and the great seal of the U.S. And our first drawing of the evening, no, stop it. Our first drawing of the evening was a dragon cosplaying as Uncle Sam. And that, my friends, was our 4th of July cosplay special. I had a very good time. We had a lot of fun people in the chat with me tonight who I want to thank for showing up. I'm going to say a bunch of names, which I'm probably going to forget someone, which is the argument for not saying any names, but I'll take a shot. Adam Blunt, thank you for dropping in. Thank you, Michael uh, and Andrew, who are here all the time, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Surreptitious, who stopped in but had to leave early. Nate Robbins was here. Um, Penny Firehorse was here. Um, who else was here? Devious Hearts was here. Um, David Bollock. I didn't see that before. Hey, David Bollock, didn't say hi to you before. Thank you for stopping in. Ed Stark was here at the beginning. May still be hanging around. I know we've had a bunch of people in the chat or in who've been watching who have not been in the chat, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. I'm happy you could be here, and if you're watching on replay, I'm happy you could be here too. Thank you for joining me for another evening of random uh, of improv cartooning. What is it I do here? I do improv cartooning. Improv cartooning on an episode of Random Encounters. Next week, let me just say, next week, I will not be here on Thursday night next week. Um, there's a friend of mine's getting married next weekend, which is a very joyous occasion. There's a lot of things going on that I am going to be part of. People visiting from out of town and little events, so I will not be live Thursday. I'm thinking perhaps that I will record an episode midday early in the week, maybe maybe Tuesday, maybe Monday. I don't know. And I may record something to go live here. So keep your eye. This is another reason why you should subscribe if you aren't already. Subscribe to the YouTube channel where this is, and it'll tell you when I'll be around. Like I say, I'm thinking of doing it middle of the day. Let's say Tuesday. I mean, that's the most likely time. Or maybe there just won't be a show next week. I don't know. All right, at this point, I don't know. But I'll be back if there is no show next week on the what is it on the 10th of July. I'll for sure be back on the 17th of July doing this live again, and you guys can come in and have some fun with me, and I hope you will. In the meantime, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Wherever you're watching this, please give it a thumbs up, a like, a heart, whatever it is. It helps a lot. I know it seems weird. It is a huge help in getting the show seen by more people so they can know to join us every week. If you like what I do and you want to be part of a kind of close-knit Stan community, well, maybe you want to think about joining my Patreon over at patreon.com/StanX. I make sure that all of the things that I draw that are publicly available get sent to patrons in their inbox, so you don't have to go searching around the internet trying to find it. If I did it and it's available, you'll get it delivered to you. And at different layers of support, you get other benefits. So, and one of the benefits at every layer of support is that you're helping me to spend more time doing drawing. It's just a part of reality that in order to spend more time doing something, I need it to generate revenue for me. I'm a freelancer. I don't have a job. I don't have anyone who's sending me money every 2 weeks. I've gotta make it work. Gotta work it. So yes, the Patreon definitely a way that is super helpful. I appreciate it, and it gets you in the inner circle, in my head. So go on, please join. You can join for free there too. But if you can, I'd certainly always appreciate everyone who decides to, you know, put a few shekels in my pocket. So I hope you all have a fine 4th of July and 4th of July weekend. If that's not something that you celebrate, if you're not from the U.S., well then I still hope you have a fine weekend. If you're from Canada, part of my family or my friends in Canada, I hope you had a lovely Canada Day yesterday, and or the day before, and yeah, I hope to come up and see y'all real soon. Liking my Canadian side of the family more and more is my American. Oh, I'm going to start that. I started the show with that kind of kvetching. I'm not going to do it here. Thank you, everyone. Good to see you. Have a good time. Take care of yourself. Be careful if you're out there. All those fireworks, like I say, that not something I like a lot. They're also can be dangerous. So please take care. I want you all to be back here with me with all your fingers and toes and no mishaps along the way. So see ya.